Hello and welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Aaron Porras, and coming up in today's newscast, incoming Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hastily beginning his coalition negotiations. Meantime, Iran finally admitting that it has been selling attack drones to Moscow. And finally, a squadron of pelicans swarming through Israel in ways you've never seen. 100% of the vote now counted following Israel's fifth serial elections, and with a total of 64 seats, Likud chair and former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be returning to his post as premier. Now all that's left to do then is to negotiate a government. As Netanyahu left the Prime Minister's office in June 2021, he left a single note to his successor, Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, reading, "Be right back." And now, after 14 months in the opposition, the prophetic paper fulfilled. The votes in Israel's fifth serial election in fewer than 4 years have been counted, and the right-wing bloc under Netanyahu's leadership poised to form a coalition and retake government control. To that end, Netanyahu already well into negotiations with his would-be coalition partners, including the two Haredi parties, the religious Zionism faction, and his own Likud party members, to dole out ministries and other senior positions. In fact, according to reports, the Likud leader hoping to hit the ground running by presenting a functional lineup for government along with the swearing-in of the 25th Knesset long before the clock to actually begin coalition negotiations even begins. But hard compromises likewise already on the horizon, with several MKs demanding the same top positions. It's allegedly clear that firebrand religious Zionism MK Itamar Ben-Gvir will become internal security minister, but little else has been decided. Israeli media reporting that several top Likud MKs are fighting over the Justice Ministry as well as the Finance, Defense, and Foreign Ministry. Then Likud MK and former UN Ambassador Dani Danon saying that the only job he'll take is as Speaker of the Knesset, while the Likud's former Transportation Minister Miri Regev will likely retake the position despite her desires on the Foreign Ministry as well. Aryeh Deri, leader of the religious Shas party, meantime, will likely get his pick of the litter, though it's reported that Netanyahu wants Deri to take the finance ministry, if not to keep it for the Likud. Netanyahu does not apparently want to give the finance portfolio to the religious Zionism party under Bezalel Smotrich. Instead, unsourced reports alleging that Bibi wants to offer Smotrich the education or justice portfolio, but Smotrich is eyeing finance or defense. Now, just as in Israel, the world, and particularly Israel's closest ally in D.C., now settling in with the reality of Jerusalem's new right-wing coalition. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz reporting.
After 14 months in the opposition, Israel's longest-serving premier is now set to return to office within the coming weeks, and U.S. President Joe Biden is soon expected to congratulate Benjamin Netanyahu on his sweeping victory. Israeli media made note of the fact that Biden is yet to make the call, but they also note that he is likely busy with midterm elections. And in the meantime, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Tom Knights reached out to Netanyahu and said he looks forward to working together with the new coalition on advancing common values. Conversely, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken thanked outgoing Prime Minister Yair Lapid for his cooperation, as well as for his upholding of a free and fair election. That said, with the advance of the pro-settlement and hardline religious Zionism party, Blinken raised a number of concerns with the new government, especially as far as MK Itamar Ben-Gvir could take up the mantle of Internal Security Minister. In fact, two anonymous officials even reportedly indicated last week that the Biden administration would boycott Ben-Gvir in some fashion. Additionally, Blinken warned against rising tensions with the Palestinians and preemptively called for all parties to urgently de-escalate. Likewise, in recent talks between Blinken and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, State Department spokesman Ned Price said that the U.S. is discussing efforts to improve the quality of life for the Palestinian people while reaffirming commitment to a two-state solution. At any rate, not just in Washington, but all over the world, leaders are expressing their congratulations to Netanyahu and his new partners. Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis, for example, expressed desire to continue expanding bilateral ties, as did leaders in Hungary, Ukraine, India, and Bahrain. Bahrain having normalized ties with Israel under the historic Abraham Accords, largely brokered by the returning Netanyahu.
And now joining with more on the latest in Israeli politics, Executive Director of Honest Reporting and former J-Post political analyst, Gil Hoffman. Gil, it's great to have you back with us. Now let's start with coalition negotiations. Shas is reportedly set to get whatever they want. How many portfolios will they request and which ones?
Look, Netanyahu has received advice from his advisors for many years that give your coalition partners whatever they want so they will stop bothering you and let you govern in whatever you want. And Netanyahu cares about diplomacy, security, economy. He doesn't care about matters of religion and state the way Shas does. He doesn't care about interior issues the way Shas does. Deri wants to be interior minister again. He'll be interior minister again. He wants to be finance minister. He'll be finance minister. Netanyahu, as usual, won't leave very much for his own Likud party.
All right, well, still, top positions, as we reported, include the Speaker of the Knesset and the Ministries of Finance, Defense, Justice, and Foreign Affairs. Which of these positions would Bibi be most okay with the Likud not having?
The finance ministry is a curse.
Really?
And Netanyahu has in the past tried to give it to his worst enemy. He did that to Yair Lapid, for instance. While there are people in Likud who would love to be finance minister, most notably Israel Katz, who had the post before, if Smotrich would take it, but without the most important parts of it, as the Israel Hayom newspaper reported today, that's something that Netanyahu would probably be willing to do.
Might we see a situation where Netanyahu attempts to hold multiple portfolios again, as he did in the not-so-distant past? And if so, would the Likud and the coalition partners tolerate it?
I've seen how the reports are saying that Netanyahu will keep portfolios in order to give them out later to some kind of rebellion inside Gantz's party. I really don't see it happening. He has enough partners within his current coalition. It's going to be a homogenous right-wing government, and he'll have enough people in Likud upset. I don't see him holding anything for himself or for anyone that's not joining now.
All right, well, you're talking about a fairly homogenous right-wing government, but at the same time, despite their minority in Knesset, many are still concerned about the influence of the religious Zionism party's ideology, particularly vis-a-vis the Palestinians, the settlements, and the status quo at the Temple Mount with Jewish prayer. How much might change on these issues?
We have seen Netanyahu, one after another, address the positions of the religious Zionist party and comfort the world by saying he won't let them get away with taking extreme steps. We've seen him already say that about stopping marches of the LGBT community in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We've seen him calm things down when it comes to legal issues. We've seen him say he doesn't want his trial stopped. You can believe him or not believe him. And Netanyahu, in his victory speech, sent an olive branch to the people he ran against. He said that in addition to trying to expand the Abraham Accords that the brilliant Steve Leibowitz mentioned in his report, he's also going to try to encourage internal peace. Now, that's a very big contrast from Itamar Ben-Gvir, for instance, who in his victory speech talked about being the landlords, really showed that his becoming less extreme during the campaign was a tactic. Netanyahu sounded like he understands that a prime minister needs to be the prime minister of everyone.
All right, so do you suspect any major surprises coming out from these coalition agreements and negotiations?
Well, not really. He's going to let the ultra-Orthodox handle what they care about, and he's going to keep for himself as much as he cares about. Don't be surprised if you see like a rebellion happen from a Nir Barkat or someone else who doesn't get a portfolio that is something that he sees himself as worthy of receiving.
All right, I want to move over to the world reactions now. We saw a supposedly tepid response from Washington thus far after the elections. But the Republicans are said to be on their way to their own victory in the states after midterms. How might this affect U.S.-Israel relations? To watch full episodes of ILTV's Israel Daily and tons of other content from Israel, visit our website at iltv.tv or download the ILTV Plus app.